Hi everybody, it's me, Alura, Cein, and this is my daughter Amber.
Hi.
And I welcome you to Mermaid Week. This is the closing of our beautiful Mermaid Week,
Yay.
where we celebrated this very beautiful soul type. So I wanted to go into some of the other things that we know about this beautifully expressed soul. The mermaids are so different from the fairies and the angels, even though we really do have a whole lot in common. So with mermaid souls, they are very self-expressive. They go through these many different phases in life. And I think we can all say that for the otherworldly soul types. But for mermaids, it's like they change their style all the time because it's how they feel inside that they're showing on the outside. And that's why you'll see them with all different types of hair colors. They go through many different types of styles and fashion. And they really do love to be the life of the party. Whereas you'll go through some of the other soul types like the angels and the fairies who sometimes get a little withdrawn from the social scene. But mermaids are right there, up front and center, always being the life of the party, expressing their joy and their inner humor. And they are so very funny. And their humor is usually used to make other people feel better about themselves. They are very kind and they know that they're pretty. They do. They have a great confidence and self-esteem within them. And when they see somebody else who's insecure or suffering, mermaid souls are always the first to make that person feel good inside. Through the mermaid souls that I know personally, whom I've read, I've always known them to be sweet-natured. They are up with the times because they're exploring this world. It's an adventure to them, even though there are a lot of emotional obstacles for them in this lifetime. But they are the type of souls that like to do many different things. They are very sweet. They're always helping out people that they love. And on top of this, they have this great feeling of being drawn towards other soul types like them, or even fairies. You see, whenever I have channeled a spiritual mermaid, there's always been a fairy there with them. However, it's not vice versa. You won't always catch a fairy coming forth in the channeling with a mermaid, but a mermaid will more than likely always have a fairy.
Yeah, because it's like their guide, so they always have to have like some kind of other realm of like being near them that can sort of relate to the mermaid, look of it. So yeah.
Yeah, they have to have their little tiny fairy guide.
Yeah.
But they act as guides to each other because the mermaids are acting like a guardian, as a protector, as a nurturer to this littler soul, while that littler soul, those fairies, will be the deliverers of the inspiration, the thoughts, and the seduction. So getting onto the topic of seduction, mermaid souls are temptresses. They have this inner, hopeless, romantic nature about them, but with that, it's not so much as the imaginative, hopeless, romantic like other soul types like angels and fairies. Mermaids have this alluring appeal to them, and they like to act that out in life. Now, I know that there's so many different types of stereotypical judgment that's going on out there in the world today. You have men that love to have multiple sexual partners, and women sometimes do too. And there's nothing at all wrong with that, but in society, they do judge it. And mermaids tend to explore themselves through their romantic partners. You'll find that they have had several romantic partners that all express a little bit of something about themselves. If you look at their partners, there will be this very distinct quality about that partner that brings out some part of that mermaid personality.
Yeah, and I noticed like mermaids, they like a lot of colors. Like it's either their hair, their makeup, purples, pinks, blues. They love just going all out, and like they love dressing up, and it's all got to be like a colorful rainbow with them. They love it.
Yeah, they are very much into fashion, makeup, and like really crazy different new trends. They love trying out the latest things. They're always the first really to try anything out that's new, and they'll be more than likely the inspiration to everybody around them. As they have these very new trends on them, everybody will see it and want to also try that out. They'll want to be like their mermaid friend. And
Yeah.
they may not even know it though. They may just start copying off of them out of admiration.
Yeah, because they think it would look nice on them, because they're, very confident. Like, we have to remember that. So, like, do you think they like tattoos and piercings and stuff? What about that?
I would say that for like mermaid souls, they do like dainty things. They're not like fairies are the ones that really like to go all out with all of the decorations and the tattoos and the piercings.
That makes sense.
But mermaids do. I've noticed that they do like a little something, but it has to be meaningful. They always have something that symbolizes or represents something, and it has a deep, deep, deep meaning in the core. So mermaids are naturally intuitive, and it's not a guided intuition. This type of intuition is like just an inner instinct. They can feel it, something doesn't feel right, or they get a good idea of what a person is like just by being around them. But they won't always be able to kind of logically process that. They'll just say, oh, there's something about that person, I really like them. And as they get to know them, that'll start coming out, and that's when they'll start realizing, oh, this is what I was picking up on, and it all just kind of like lights up for them, and they recognize it. And they're very empathic too. These soul types are so very affected by energy. It is remarkable. And they love to be in groups. Like I said, they are wild and self-expressive, and they like to be the light of the party. But there are times when they do like to withdraw.
Yeah, they like to explore and go on their own and not be near the social groups because they just end up getting tired of it. So they go and they'll travel to different states and different beaches and things like that just to be alone and find themselves for a little bit.
Yeah, or they withdraw completely in their homes. And
Yeah.
that's because of all of that
Netflix.
energy. Yeah, they're like, I can't take any of this energy anymore. And they do experience a lot of dreams. Now, with the angelic soul types, not so much because that energy is so highly amplified. But fairies and mermaids are ones that really take the beating from the empathic energy. They really do. They feel it, and it really takes a toll on their spiritual bodies. They need a lot of clearings more so than any other souls. But the one thing that I wanted to touch base on here today are some of the negative traits, because I'm so positive and I'm always touching base on all of the wonderful highlights of each and every soul type, but we never really talk about the negative things. And I think that a lot of people struggle with some of those topics. So let's just touch base on that very quickly, and I think we will have covered it this week for Mermaid Week.
Yeah, actually, before we get into that, we tried to get to the water. Funny story. And we were actually right near it. It's right here.
It's over there.
And it was completely taken over by dogs, okay? There's a whole bunch of dogs, and me and my mom, we were walking and we were getting attacked by them. So we wanted to get the mermaid setting. And now we're stuck in this mosquito planet. Okay, but some
yeah, we're trapped in this tiny little section in the woods.
Yeah,
with mosquitoes.
we have our mermaid candle.
Yes, we brought that with us.
Yes, and our sticky cupcake that didn't last too long outside, but
it melted.
It's pretty.
So
it's
we
kind
did
of
make
melted.
them.
Yeah, we made them, but there'll be a better picture in her social medias.
Thank you.
I think some negative traits are that mermaids, they tend to be a little gossipy. They are, they'll have that moment where they're like, oh, well, she did this and she did that.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's maybe because they want to show people that they know things too about other people and that they're aware of these things. And I think they kind of exaggerate a little bit. They like to, get into the flow of talking about it, and then they end up talking too much.
Yeah,
so,
that's
yeah.
right.
So
They do.
yeah.
They gossip. And I don't think it's to be malicious. They never mean to be malicious.
No.
These soul types, when you're reading into their energy, they just want somebody to agree with what they're picking up on. They're not trying to say, oh, well, this girl did this, or I noticed this about her, to put that person down. They're just trying to highlight it and say it to somebody because they want to check their intuition. Like I said, it's not a guided intuition. It's something that they realize as they go along the way. And they are always mainly right. I could say sometimes they misread into things because of that negative reception of the energy, which they do tend to pick up on because they're very sensitive to it. But when they are talking to others about others, it's just to see if people are seeing or vibing with them on what they see. Now, another thing that I notice about mermaids in a negative side note is that they tend to get a little competitive, and they do sometimes get very jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing is that with some of those traits, that can lead them to get highly competitive, especially when it comes to appearances and otherwise, because they're very confident and they are the trendsetters. So they'll set the trend and people will start to take part in that trend, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh my goodness,
You're like, come
I
on,
wore
give me
that the
some
other
credit.
day. Yeah,
Like,
give
come
me some
on.
credit. I noticed that about a lot of the different mermaid souls that I've come to observe, because not everybody that I'm reading into has actually come for the actual reading, but I'm constantly reading into people. And there's been a few, but the people that I have read, they're just really kind, sweethearted people. Really, all of you are sweet people, and it's such a wonderful honor to know all of you. But just to kind of elaborate a little bit more before we go, you know, some of those negative traits, they get very possessive over their love partners. They get very
Oh, yeah.
jealous. Sometimes it's just because they want to protect and nurture that person so much that they may take it a little too far because of that passionate overload of emotions inside.
And
But
I also think it has something to do with a little bit of insecurity that they have about themselves.
Yeah,
and
maybe-
afraid that somebody's going to be better than their lovers, like, you know, than her, like the
Right.
person.
Right,
So,
yeah. I agree. Or it could just be maybe that they don't allow those insecurities to be expressed as much so because they do have that air of confidence on the outside.
Yeah.
But they are genuinely sweet, sincere, great, wonderful, loyal, truthful friends. They may talk a little bit at times and they may be a little bit competitive, but these are probably one of the most fascinating soul types that there is. So thank you so much for joining Amber and I here in the middle of the woods with the mosquitoes to do this video for you. I hope that you enjoyed it so very much. Thank you for participating in Mermaid Week.
I also wanted to show you guys this necklace that I was wearing. And it's like, you know, to represent the mermaidness. And check out her hair. It looks so great.
We went all out for you girls this week. I hope
Yes.
you enjoyed it. So this upcoming week, stay tuned as we start to dive deeper into some of the other soul types that we have. Namaste.
Bye.